bring in Republican Congressman Mo Brooks of Alabama. Congressman, good to have you here. Thank you for being with us.
My pleasure.
You share that view that this is just an opportunity for James Comey to save face?
Well, let me give you a little bit of background first about myself. I was an assistant district attorney in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, helped to manage the grand jury and had dozens of felony jury trials. And then later on, I was the district attorney of Huntsville, Madison County, Alabama, supervised the grand jury trials. So I have some prosecutorial experience, and I'm going to break this down into two arenas. On the legal side, it was a clear slam dunk win for President Trump and the White House. By way of example, no evidence of any kind of collusion with the Russians. Donald Trump is cleared on that. Number two, with respect to these allegations of obstruction of justice, it's quite clear that there's no evidence that whatever the president said or did hampered or retarded or hindered in any way what the FBI investigation was doing. So, legal arena, big victory for President Trump and the White House. Now we go to the political arena, which is an entirely different type of arena, and I would submit that that battle's still ongoing, and it'll take some period of time before that'll be resolved.
Yeah, I'm with you on the fact that it'll take some time. Let me ask you this. You've been a big supporter of Jeff Sessions. You heard Ari Melber just before you were on saying that on a normal day, that would be a big headline, that James Comey said that they expected that Sessions would be recusing himself because there would be a problem if he didn't, for reasons that he couldn't talk about in open sessions. What do you make of that?
Well, I've known Jeff Sessions for many decades. He was an outstanding United States Senator. He was an outstanding Attorney General of the state of Alabama. And in my opinion, he is performing his duties as the Constitution requires as United States Attorney General. And under the circumstances presented, where Jeff Sessions was an active part of the Donald Trump for President campaign, Jeff Sessions did exactly what he should have done, recuse himself from this Russian investigation in order to minimize or eliminate the appearance of any impropriety. So I believe that Attorney General Jeff Sessions has acted exactly as he should have, and I agree with Comey's testimony in that regard, that Jeff Sessions acted as he should have in recusing himself in order to avoid any actual or appearance of impropriety.
Okay, so I guess because you, and I appreciate you telling us about your history, which we knew as a litigator and a lawyer for a long time, I want to ask you, I want to play this for you. This is the exchange between Wyden and Comey today. Ron Wyden, Senator Ron Wyden and James Comey. Let's just play this and talk about it on the other side.
What was it about the Attorney General's own interactions with the Russians or his behavior with regard to the investigation that would have led the entire leadership of the FBI to make this decision?
Our judgment, as I recall, was that he was very close to and inevitably going to recuse himself for a variety of reasons. We also were aware of facts that I can't discuss in an open setting that would make his continued engagement in a Russia-related investigation problematic.
So, Congressman, as a former ADA and as a former DA, you know that those words were parsed, right? That James Comey meant something very specific when he said there were things that would make his, meaning the Attorney General's, continued engagement in a Russia-related investigation problematic. We do not want to cast aspersions here. What do those words mean to you?
Well, I think it's very important to focus on what was said and what not was said. And there was not anything said that suggested that Attorney General Jeff Sessions engaged in any kind of improper conduct.
That is correct.
If Jeff Sessions had meetings with Russians or at big conferences shook the hand of a Russian, those are the kinds of things that the FBI should look at in order to determine whether there was something improper or whether it was innocent, without any subsequent need to do any further investigation. Further, you've got Jeff Sessions having been extremely active in Donald Trump's campaign for the presidency. So you put those two things together, and you've either, he should not be the person who should be leading an investigation that involves the Trump campaign or involves Russia collusion, even if he did nothing wrong. Just because of those two factors,
you want to
again have a good appearance of proper conduct, a good appearance of there being a proper investigation. And so I'm quite confident that Jeff Sessions did what he's supposed to do, and I'm also quite confident that former FBI Director Comey's remarks are consistent with what we know about how honorable a man Jeff Sessions is.
But you aren't troubled by the idea that James Comey did say that he believes the president tried to get him to put a lid on the Mike Flynn investigation. That's not a legal win for the president, if that's true.
It depends on how you look at that language. As I understand it, there was nothing uttered by President Trump that affected the FBI's investigation in any way, shape, or form. So it never rose to the seriousness of being an obstruction of justice. So in that event, I would contend that, again, this was a major legal victory for the White House and President Trump, albeit you still have the battle that is ongoing on the political side, where different people in different factions try to make different inferences and make different points concerning whether this is good or bad from a political standpoint, not a legal standpoint.
Congressman, always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for being with us.
My pleasure.
Congressman Mo Brooks of Alabama. Coming up, the president was quiet.